Okay. Today I would like to ask some questions in relation to tourism development in Flores. And I know that you have done research on tourism development in Flores. And nowadays, people in NTT in general and in Flores in particular are talking about tourism development in Flores, especially when one of the national representative member said that NTT, including Flores, is not special, is not beautiful. Yeah, that's one of the hot issues in NTT at the moment, and it has been becoming national issues because of this statement. So I would like to ask you several questions. I have made around 9 questions, so I will ask one by one throughout the interview. Okay. Okay. Maybe I will begin with personal questions. What's your name and where do you live right now?
Okay. My name is Hege Louise Aen, and I live in Denmark, but I was born and raised in Norway.
Okay. How many times do you visit Indonesia, including Flores?
I have visited Indonesia and Flores 2 times. In 2009 was the first, and then again in 2013. And I spent quite a lot of time there both times.
Okay. How did you find Flores in particular and Indonesia in general? Is it Flores beautiful or is it not beautiful?
Well, it is absolutely beautiful. And also, when I arrived in Indonesia, we first arrived in Jakarta, and then we traveled to Jogja, and we spent almost 1 month in Jogja. And then we traveled to Bali, and we spent maybe a weekend or more in Bali. And then we traveled to Lombok and then to Flores. So I have also seen different parts with different kinds of tourism. And Flores absolutely has something that the other places do not have. Jogja is more like a big city with some things. Bali is an island with different kinds of tourism. Whereas Flores has some nature and has some marine life and also some culture, which is unique for Flores, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Okay. I remember last time you did research on tourism in Flores for your bachelor and also for your master degree. Can you tell me, and also can you tell Florence and NTT people a little bit about your research that you have done in the past?
Yes, I would love to. The first time in 2009, we wanted to look at the tourism in Flores, whether or not they are utilizing the potential. Is it possible to make good tourism here? What are the people of Flores doing to facilitate tourism? And we also wanted to look at culture. Is it a problem if there is a lot of tourism coming? Will that be a problem for the culture and for Flores? In particular, we wanted to take care of the environment. We wanted to look at the different ways tourism will function with the environment and the culture. And then in 2013, I had a more economic focus. I wanted to look at how is tourism doing now in 2013, it was 4 years later than my first visit. So I wanted to see what kind of development has there been, and where does the money go? An island like Flores can have many good opportunities to utilize and benefit from the financial aspects in tourism. People come and then spend money on hotels and accommodation, but they will also spend money on food and drinks and some experiences, activities. So that was my research in 13. I wanted to look at what does tourism, what kind of activities are there, and where does the money go?
Okay, it sounds very, very nice. And what are the main findings you got in your research?
The main findings the first time in 2009 was once Flores has a lot of potential. There are some things in Flores that people from Europe, where I come from, would love to see. So there is a great potential for tourism. And I can mention a few. One thing, obviously, is the Komodo Island and the Komodo Dragon, which is an attraction. There is also the volcanic lakes, a very interesting phenomenon, which we don't have much here in Europe. And then there is the natural scenery. You can go hiking, and there is some beautiful nature, and there is the marine life. We had some wonderful experiences with the marine life. So these things, also the local culture, the villages, and these things are a great potential for tourism activity. This is my husband and my son. My son was very interested to see what mommy is doing in the office.
Yeah.
So our findings from my first trip to Indonesia and Flores was that there are great potential for tourism activities that people from Europe would like to come and see. And there may be some issues with preserving the environment and culture, but if we are aware of it, it will not be a problem. And then my findings in 2013 was this great potential I found in 2009. There had been some development, so there was more tourism in 2013, which was great. What I noticed in particular was the potential is not at all being utilized. And also when I was talking to people, they said, yes, we could earn more money if maybe we had more stability with food delivery. Because when the tourists come, the restaurant said they would like to have what's on the menu. But if the weather has been poor and we could not get the goods delivered by boats, we could not serve everything on our menu. So there were some problems when I was looking at where does the money go. There were some problems the different businesses experienced, which made their earnings not as great as they could be. So we found some, for instance, eggs. If you want eggs, I think you import eggs from Lombok.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an egg farm on Flores. So that was
Surabaya, I guess.
Surabaya, yes. And that was just one example. If the weather is poor and the boat does not come, we don't have any eggs.
Yeah.
So if you have an egg farm on Flores, that would not be a problem. So they mentioned certain relatively small things, like one or two things that each restaurant or hotel could use. But of course, in the greater pictures, you can't just make an egg farm. Of course, you need facilities, and there are things that are needed to make this happen. Also, I think my findings from 2013 showed that there could be a better collaboration between the local authorities and the different tourism businesses, hotels and restaurants, and in particular also the different tourist activities, like the ones working with scuba diving or other tour guide activities. They really wanted a collaboration with the local authorities in terms of preserving the environment, making everything organized in such a way that when tourists come and visit the place. It's also the ecological footprint, which is a popular term these days here, that we also want to make sure the environment is taken care of.
Okay. As I said before, that one of the national representative members said that Flores is not special, or NTT is not special and beautiful. I would like to know, how is your reaction to this kind of statement?
Yes, my first reaction was, I'm quite surprised that someone would say such a thing. And also I'm thinking, has he been there? Perhaps he has, I don't know. There are some things I would like to enhance about the beauty in Flores. One thing is the natural scenery. When we were traveling around, and maybe for you people who live in Flores and live in Indonesia, it's just normal because it is your natural environment and what you see every day. But when you come from Europe, where I am, and right now we have snow outside, so it's very different. The natural scenery we see when we come to Flores, it's absolutely beautiful. And we went hiking and we enjoyed it so much. We visited different beaches and places by the sea, which was also beautiful. I mentioned earlier the volcanic lakes, just the lakes in particular, and also the trip going there. And then the marine life. I remember once, I think that was in 2009, and me and my fellow students, we rented a boat. And I think you and Rufinus was with us.
Yeah.
And we spent a few days on the boat, and we were snorkeling and scuba diving. And it was absolutely beautiful to both, you're on the boat and you see the ocean and the wildlife in the ocean, but you can also, from the boat, you can look at the islands and you see the trees and everything. And being in that environment is indeed beautiful. And also from our times scuba diving, I have been doing scuba diving many places, both in Europe and outside in, I think it's South Africa. I have been several places scuba diving, also in Asia, in Thailand. And one of my absolutely best experiences in the water has been on Flores.
Okay.
When we were out diving, and one thing is the coral reefs, but you actually have manta rays.
Yeah.
And the manta ray is like huge, it's maybe 2 meters big. And I think I saw maybe 8 or 10 in the water.
Yeah.
Like a few meters from me when we were scuba diving, and that is absolutely unique. So there are some elements, some things that Flores have that you don't find anywhere else.
Okay. Based on your research and also based on your experience, what could be done to improve tourism in Flores in order to benefit not only for investors but also for local people, especially foreigners people?
I will emphasize collaboration. Sometimes one person gets one idea, or maybe one person have connection to an investor, and that one person or that investor makes one project, one restaurant or one hotel. And that can be very good, but it is so important to collaborate. Maybe you could have like a tourism forum or something where some people come together on a regular basis and agree on some things for the future. Like, what do we want with our tourism development? And then you find some common goals and you work towards them. Both someone from local authorities and someone from the different businesses, hotels and restaurants, and also from the maybe scuba diving shops, the tourism guides. I think maybe there are like 3 main groups: the authorities, the hotels and restaurants, and the activities. To have a good collaboration between them would be very good. And actually I want to mention a 4th NGOs. If there are some NGOs that are involved in preserving environment for animal and wildlife, if they would collaborate and think together, where do we want to be in 5 years? What do we need to arrive at that goal in 5 years? Because then you have all the different aspects involved. So that is like the main thing, a collaboration on where we want to go with our tourism projects. The other thing also I want to mention is to have a look at the economic linkages. Again, the example with eggs for Surabaya. If you have to buy your eggs somewhere else, you are vulnerable, because if you don't get the eggs, you can't give the eggs to the tourists. And also, a lot of your earnings, what you earn from the egg, you actually give to someone else. So if you have, for example, an egg farm on Flores, you would also have local Florenese people to work there. So they will give jobs and they will give money to people who work there who they can bring to their families.
Okay.
So be aware of the economic leakages. Everything you import from somewhere else, you also give the money you earn from the tourists to that place.
Okay.
You want to keep it on Flores for Florenese people to benefit from.
Okay, very nice. Beautifully explained. Okay, recently, the Indonesian government would like to develop premium tourism in Flores. So only the rich who can pay for the premium tourism. Can you give some opinions on this kind of plan? Is it good or is it not good for the development of tourism in Flores, which in turn will benefit the local people in Flores?
May I ask to clarify, the local governments, do they want to focus on developing premium tourism only? So only to attract rich people? Is that what you are saying?
Yeah, especially in Labuan Bajo, in Komodo. So those who are rich only can get access to Komodo Island. So they would like to make Komodo Island or Komodo National Park only for those who have money.
Almost always, I think diversity is good. You would want to have diversity in what you offer, because people are different, the people who arrive at some place. And you would also, it's a good idea to have diversity, because then you are not so vulnerable. If you focus on one group of people or one product, if for some reason they don't come this year or they want to go somewhere else or something happens, when you have only the one leg to stand on, if that doesn't work, you become unstable. So in general, I think focusing too much on one area can be a risk. Okay. On the other hand, I maybe understand their focus, because rich tourists or premium tourists, one tend to think that they would, give more money. Yeah. And also the rich tourists, they might also want to have good facilities. So if you want them to come at all, you need to kind of give them a good service and a better standard than maybe the traditional backpacker, so to say. So it is a good idea to upgrade the standard and have what is needed to attract premium tourism, but it's a bad idea to focus only on that.
Okay.
I think it's possible to have two strategic goals, both to do what is necessary to facilitate the high standard maybe needed to attract these tourists, but also to keep the area open to the common traveler.
Okay.
Because the rich tourists, they can go many places, and if they don't come to Flores this year or the next year, because they also go somewhere else, maybe there will be no tourists at all, and that would be a tragedy for people of Flores because there will be less earnings.
Okay.
And also one thing to remember about rich tourists is to look at their travel pattern. Maybe they will come in organized groups. They will maybe have their own boat. Maybe they will rent a sailboat or something from another place, and they will come to Komodo Island and visit, but they might stay on their boat. They might eat the food they have brought themselves on their own boat. They might come to Labuan Bajo for a few hours to just, go around and have a look, and they might buy some souvenirs or something, and then they will go back to their boat and then they will leave. So the risk is you don't earn any money because they tend to travel in their own kind of groups, almost like a kind of a cruise. People travel on a cruise or as a cruise tourist, they stay on the boat and they just visit places, and often they leave very little money when they go there. So it's definitely a risk to focus only on the premium tourists because, you might not necessarily earn more money.
Okay.
They will also maybe have the opportunity to come by plane and just stay one night to see what they want, and then they leave. One of my findings from my research was that backpackers and other tourists, they stay more days or nights and travel around, so it will give more effects around the island.
Okay. Okay. If you had a chance to do your PhD and you might choose Flores, and you would do research on tourism in Flores, what kind of topic you would like to research, which you find that you haven't done it yet in your bachelor and your master?
Oh, that's a big question. The first idea that came to me was that I would have liked to done an analysis of what's happened for maybe the last 10 or 15 years. Oh. Because if you make an analysis and you talk to the different businesses that has been there for a long time and the people who have been involved, they will tell you, and then you might maybe you'll see that some problems go again. They occur every other year or every third year. Like I mentioned before, my main focus would be collaboration. Yeah. Often in local governments, you have some people and they sit and work for maybe 4 years, and then there's a political change, and then there are some new people. And often people have a focus on their own career and their own goals. So if you have an analysis over maybe a 10-year period, what has happened for the last 10 years, that might help identify some of the main issues that needs to be addressed.
Okay. Lastly, the last questions. Do you have any suggestions and recommendations for young generations in Flores in order to develop tourism in particular and development in general?
I would definitely look at what I write about in my master's degree, economic linkages and economic leakages, because there are great potential to develop. For example, in tourism industry, there is, you can say, the front line where the tourists arrive and they buy maybe foods and they buy activities and they buy some souvenirs, and then look at the chain to be able to give them the food they want. What do we need to produce in Flores?
Okay.
It could be eggs, it could be some kind of vegetable. Look at the opportunities to produce on Flores what will feed into the tourism industry. And maybe also that's the next link. There could be 3 or 4 links here. By developing tourism industry with focus on the economic linkages, you will also be able to develop other, maybe small industries or small businesses which will earn money and give development and will also create jobs.
Okay.
So that would be my idea or my suggestion. Focus on where can we create economic linkages. And that's, again, it feeds back to my focus on collaboration. If you have all these different people sitting together in maybe a forum and they meet once a month or every 3 months, whatever you find necessary and whatever you find fruitful, to have this discussion, well, the one person can say, well, I need this for my business. I need this for my business. And then maybe somebody else can say, okay, can we create this? Can we make this happen? So you have a dialogue on what's needed to reach a goal, and then you help create it on Flores. That would be interesting to see what can come from such a collaboration.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanations, and I think your findings are very important for foreigners people, especially for the authority, in relation to how to develop tourism sector in Flores in particular and in NTT in general. And lastly, I would like to say thank you very much for taking your time. And I will post this interview on my YouTube. But before doing that, I need to put Indonesian subtitle. So foreigners and people from NTT and Indonesian people can understand our interview. Okay, thank you very much, Hege.
Thank you, Amy. I would also like to say thank you to you. I think it is so great that you still have focus on this and that you also use the resources available to you to have a focus on tourism development on Flores. And I am very happy to hear if any of my research can benefit you and Flores in this process. Really, I am so glad that you can use it and that you can start and create something great from it. It's very good.
Okay, thank you very much, Hege. See you next time. Best
Bye-bye. See you next time.
Small family. Hopefully someday I can visit your family in Denmark.
You are always welcome in our home.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.